The pot roast was getting cold, but my mother kept refilling everyone's wine glasses as my brother Mike continued his performance. I mean, seriously, he said, waving his fork for emphasis. Who needs a smart device that tracks their pet's emotional state? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. My name is Sophie Chen, and at 29, I just sold my pet tech company, Popprint AI, to Google for $4.2 billion. Not that anyone at this family dinner table knew that yet. It's not just emotional tracking, I said quietly, pushing my peas around my plate. The AI can predict health issues before they become serious, potentially saving pets' lives. Mike rolled his eyes. Right, because what the world really needs is more hypochondriac pet owners. Tell me, how many of these magical collars have you actually sold? I took a sip of water, thinking about the confidentiality agreement sitting in my laptop bag. The acquisition wouldn't be announced until market open tomorrow, but the numbers were staggering. 12 million units sold in the past year alone, with a waiting list twice that long. Sales are going well, I said simply. Going well, Mike snorted. Is that why you're still driving that beat-up Honda and living in that tiny apartment? Face it, Sophie, you should have stayed in investment banking like me. At least then you'd have something to show for all those genius grades you got in college. My father cleared his throat uncomfortably. Mike, maybe we should. No, Dad, someone needs to give her a reality check. Mike interrupted. She quit a 6-figure job to play with circuit boards in her garage. It's embarrassing. The garage he was referring to was actually a state-of-the-art R&D facility where my team of 50 engineers had revolutionized veterinary care through artificial intelligence. But Mike had never bothered to visit, so he wouldn't know that. How's the merger going at your bank? I asked, changing the subject. Mike had been bragging for months about a deal he was leading. His face darkened slightly. It's proceeding. There are some complications with the numbers, but we'll sort it out. What he didn't know was that I knew exactly why his merger was struggling. My company's AI technology had caught the attention of every major tech giant, and during the acquisition talks, I'd gotten an inside look at various industry dynamics. Mike's bank was trying to merge with a failing institution, hiding bad assets through creative accounting. It would all come crashing down soon. I'm sure you will, I said, taking another bite of now cold pot roast. 3 years ago, when I first left banking to start Popprint, Mike had been the loudest critic. Banking is real business, he'd said. This pet project of yours is just a waste of your education. What he never understood was that my banking experience was exactly what had prepared me to build Popprint. I saw how traditional industries undervalued innovation, how they missed opportunities right in front of them. While Mike was pushing papers and inflating numbers, I was creating something real. The idea for Popprint had come from watching my cat, Luna, get sick. By the time I noticed something was wrong, the cancer had spread too far. If only I'd known earlier, if only there had been some way to detect the changes in her behavior and health before it was too late. That's when it hit me. Pets can't tell us when something's wrong, but their bodies and behaviors give off signals long before visible symptoms appear. If we could capture and analyze that data through AI, we could revolutionize pet healthcare. My mother's voice pulled me back to the present. Sophie, honey, maybe Mike has a point. You're not getting any younger, and that apartment of yours. I thought about the beachfront house I just bought in Malibu, the one I'd move into after tomorrow's announcement. The real estate agent had been shocked when I paid cash. But that's what you can do when you've been quietly building a billion-dollar company. I like my apartment, Mom, I said. It's close to work. Mike laughed. Work? You mean your little pet project? Come on, Sophie, it's time to grow up. Even my junior analysts make more than you probably do with your toy company. If he only knew. His entire bank's market cap was less than what Google had just paid for my toy company. Tomorrow, every financial news outlet would be running the story. Google acquires Popprint AI in largest pet tech deal in history. But for now, I just smiled and asked Mom to pass the gravy. After dinner, as everyone moved to the living room for coffee, my phone buzzed. A text from David, my lead engineer. Everything's set for tomorrow. Google's press release is ready to go. You sure you don't want to tell your family tonight? I looked over at Mike, who was holding court about his latest luxury car purchase. Some surprises are worth waiting for, I texted back. My father caught me in the kitchen as I was helping Mom with dishes. You okay, sweetheart? Mike was pretty harsh tonight. I dried a plate, thinking about all the times Dad had encouraged my curiosity. Bought me electronics kits when I was little, defended my decision to study both computer science and finance in college. "I'm fine, Dad," I said. "Actually, you might want to watch the business news tomorrow morning. Could be interesting." He gave me a curious look but didn't press further. Dad had always been good at keeping secrets. As I drove home that night in my beat-up Honda, which I kept because it was the last gift Luna rode in before she passed, I thought about how everything would change tomorrow. The money didn't matter so much. I'd been effectively a billionaire on paper for months as the acquisition talks progressed. What mattered was finally being able to step out of the shadows, to show my family and the world what I built. My phone buzzed again. Another text, this time from Sarah Kim, my attorney. "Final paperwork is complete. The merger Mike's working on just got flagged for regulatory review. Timing couldn't be better." I smiled, thinking about tomorrow's board meeting at Mike's bank. He'd be trying to explain why he missed the red flags in his merger targets books right around the time my face would be appearing on CNBC. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. The morning of the announcement, I woke up early and made coffee in my modest apartment. The view of Silicon Valley from my balcony was particularly beautiful today, or maybe that was just my mood. My phone started buzzing at 6:30 a.m. First CNBC, then Bloomberg, then what felt like every financial journalist in the country. They all seen the press release. Google acquires PawPrint AI for $4.2 billion, marking largest pet tech acquisition in history. I declined the interviews for now. There would be time for that later. Instead, I turned on CNBC and waited. At 7:45 a.m., my face appeared on the screen alongside the acquisition headlines. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. First was Mom, "Sophie? Is this real? Call me." Then Dad. I knew it. "So proud of you, sweetheart." Mike's name was notably absent from my notifications. I drove to PawPrint headquarters, where my team was gathering for the announcement. As I walked through the office, people were hugging, crying, celebrating. Many of them had taken equity instead of higher salaries when they joined. They were all millionaires now. "Ms. Chen," my assistant Rachel called out, "your brother's bank is trying to reach you. Apparently, they're interested in investment opportunities." I smiled. "Tell them to contact Google's corporate development team. We're a subsidiary now." The irony wasn't lost on me. 3 years ago, when I was trying to raise my first round of funding, I'd approached Mike's bank. He'd laughed me out of the building, telling me to come back when you have a real business plan. Now his bank was desperate for a piece of the action, but it was too late. The same day my acquisition was announced, news broke about the troubled merger Mike had been working on. The target company's books were worse than anyone had realized. His bank stock was in freefall. Around noon, my mother showed up at the office, tears in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell us?" she asked, hugging me tight. "All this time we thought." "You thought what, Mom?" "That I was failing. That Mike was right about me wasting my potential." She had the grace to look embarrassed. "We just worried about you, working all those hours, living so modestly when you could have had such a comfortable life in banking." I led her on a tour of the office, showing her the labs where we developed our AI technology, the walls covered in thank you letters from pet owners whose animals' lives had been saved by our early detection system. "I am comfortable, Mom," I said. "I've been comfortable for a while. I just didn't need to show it off." My phone buzzed. Mike was finally calling. I let it go to voicemail. Later that afternoon, I had my first official meeting with Google's executive team. They wanted to discuss expansion plans, integration strategies, and my role going forward. I'd be leading their new pet technology division with a significant budget and autonomy. As I left the Google campus, another voicemail from Mike. "Sophie, we need to talk. This merger situation. I could really use your help. Your exit is all anyone's talking about. Maybe you could put in a good word with some investors." I thought about all the family dinners where he belittled my work, all the times he dismissed my company as a cute hobby. Now he wanted my help. When I got home that evening, I found him waiting in my building's lobby. "How did you get in here?" I asked, though I knew the answer. He was still my emergency contact. Something had need to change. "Sophie, please," he said, following me to the elevator. "My career is on the line here. The merger's falling apart. Our stock is tanking, and you're suddenly the golden child of Silicon Valley. You have to help me." I turned to face him. "Have to? Like you had to mock my ridiculous gadget at dinner last night? Like you had to tell everyone I was wasting my life?" "I was wrong, okay," he snapped. "Is that what you want to hear? You're the brilliant one, the successful one. Now can we talk about how you're going to help your brother out of this mess?" We reached my floor, and I stepped out of the elevator. "No, Mike, we can't. Because this isn't about brilliance or success. It's about respect. You never respected me, my work, or my choices. You thought success only looked one way, your way. Now you're learning otherwise, and that's a lesson you need to experience fully." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying good luck with the merger, Mike. I hear Google's corporate development team gives excellent feedback on due diligence practices. You might want to look into that." I closed my apartment door on his protests, finally checking my other messages. The acquisition had made me the youngest self-made female billionaire in tech. Magazine covers were already being planned. Speaking requests were flooding in. But what made me happiest was an email from a pet owner in Ohio. "Your device caught my dog's heart condition 3 months before any symptoms showed. The vet says if we'd waited, it would have been too late. You saved his life. Thank you." I clicked over to my real estate agent's website, looking at the Malibu house I'd bought. The movers were coming next week. Maybe I'd invite the family over for dinner once I was settled. Show them what their failing daughter had really been up to all these years. But first, I had a company to run and lives to save. Success, I was learning, wasn't about proving others wrong. It was about staying true to your vision, even when nobody else could see it. 2 months after the Google acquisition, I sat in my new Malibu home, watching the sunset over the Pacific. The house was everything I dreamed of. Modern, spacious, with a dedicated room for Luna's old things and a wall of thank you letters from PopRent users. My phone buzzed, another text from Mike. "The merger's officially dead. Board meeting tomorrow to discuss leadership changes. Please, Sophie, I need your help." I set the phone down without responding. Mike's bank had lost billions on the failed merger, and heads were rolling. According to industry gossip, his position was particularly precarious. The doorbell rang. It was Mom and Dad coming for their first visit to my new home. "Oh, honey," Mom gasped as she walked in. This is incredible." Dad just smiled, walking straight to my wall of letters. "These are what matter, aren't they?" he said, reading the stories of pets saved by PopRent's early detection system. "They are," I agreed. "The money's nice, but this is why I built it." We sat on the terrace for dinner, prepared by the private chef I'd hired, one luxury I'd decided to allow myself. As we ate, I could see Mom struggling with something. "Mike's in trouble, isn't he?" she finally asked. "His choices put him there, Mom. Not me. But you could help him. With your connections now." I set down my fork. "Mom, do you remember last Christmas? When Mike spent the entire dinner telling everyone how I was throwing my life away? How I'd never amount to anything in real business?" She nodded slowly. "The whole time he was saying that, I was in final negotiations with Google. I was already worth billions on paper. But instead of telling him that, I sat there and took his abuse. Do you know why?" "Why?" Dad asked quietly. "Because I wanted to see who he really was. Not who he pretended to be when he needed something, but who he was when he thought I had nothing to offer him." The next morning, I drove to Mike's bank for the board meeting. Not to help him, but because Google was considering acquiring some of the bank's technology assets in the wake of the failed merger. As the new head of special projects, I'd be leading the evaluation. Mike was waiting in the lobby, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Sophie, thank God," he started, but I held up a hand. "I'm here as a potential acquirer, Mike. Nothing more. Google is interested in your AI trading platform. We'll be evaluating it over the next few weeks." His face fell. "But I'm your brother." "Yes, you are. And for years, you used that relationship to tear me down, to make yourself feel bigger by making me feel smaller. Now that the tables have turned, you want to use that same relationship to save yourself." I said I was sorry. "No, Mike, you said you were wrong. There's a difference. Sorry means understanding the harm you caused and wanting to make amends. Wrong just means the outcome didn't match your expectations." I walked past him to the elevator, remembering all the times he'd made me doubt myself, all the family dinners where he'd dismissed my dreams. The board meeting was brief. Mike's team presented their technology, trying desperately to impress Google's new pet tech division head. I asked pointed questions, exposed flaws in their system, and watched my brother squirm as I demonstrated a level of technical knowledge he never knew I possessed. Afterward, I found Dad waiting by my car. "You didn't have to be so hard on him in there," he said. "Yes, I did. Not for revenge, Dad. For his own good. Mike needs to learn that success isn't about putting others down or taking shortcuts. It's about building something real, something that helps people, or in my case, helps pets." Dad nodded slowly. You remind me of your grandmother. She built her business from nothing, faced all kinds of discrimination, but never lost sight of why she was doing it." I smiled, thinking of Grandma Chen and her fierce determination. She'd been the first to invest in PopRent, writing me a check and saying, "Make something that matters." That evening, I sat in my home office, reviewing acquisition proposals for Google. Mike's bank's technology wasn't worth buying. Too many corners cut, too much emphasis on flash over substance. Just like Mike himself. My phone buzzed one last time. Mike again. "I get it now. I really do. I'm sorry, Sophie. Not because I was wrong, but because I hurt you. Can we talk? Really talk?" I stared at the message for a long time, thinking about family and forgiveness and what really matters in the end. "Coffee tomorrow," I texted back. "My office at Google. Let's start over." Because sometimes success isn't just about proving yourself right or others wrong. Sometimes it's about showing others a better way forward, even if they have to fall first to see it. As I looked out at the ocean, I thought about Luna, whose illness had inspired all of this. On my desk sat her old collar, now retrofitted with the latest version of PopRent's technology. It wouldn't bring her back, but it was saving thousands of other pets every day. That's what real success looks like. Not the house or the billions or the headlines, but the lives changed for the better. Even if some of those lives belong to people who once doubted you.